none of these are labeled.
Oh,
And you all got burritos.
I'm not done. Yeah.
Okay,
So you figure it out, we'll find you out.
Sure. Are you sure you don't want anything now?
No.
Alright. See you. Good luck,
I'm
stay
good,
alive.
thank you. Yeah, I'll try our best.
Good luck, Emery.
Thank you. How do you feel about that? How dare you do that?
All right, the YC has been said. We've already spoken.
You can't always get what you want.
Okay, that's what most of the remark.
I am ready.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know. I need it.
I said it.
You might just need to write something.
I have none.
Yeah, me as well. I'm hard with that. Don't we all?
Alright, cool.
Yeah.
Scenario 1 is trade executive order over trade based complex and other direct oversight is based on WTO correction and trade retaliation measures by Germany 18 times so that the delegated powers rules of Congress used between the executive exercise authority over trade and the president to build and notify over the initiation of trade conflicts that makes sense for the Congress to hold the primary responsibility for initiating trade wars. Party first has to remember that elements principally the executive president controls action and the WTO determines the trade uses during the second president administers properties and investigation laws president is subject to discretion when and how he goes to the trade barriers by the governors to express opposition to the administration declaring the trade war lead to imposition of duties situation business capacity duties control of WTO pieces or overwhelming the influence of trade law remedies the president to launch trade war and other consent city authority to the president has the fact that notice of media when starting all make it easier to become involved in systemic representation uncertainties the primary goal of avoiding protections of the global trade war will shut 18 corporations certified opposition of three foreign countries trade rates serve for the security system of backwards control of the global trade are managed other legal arguments legal voice to act on the directions on certain trade war laws and countries making equal systems administration for the economic disaster for organization of the for commercial public and the trade defense of the person that was in years of bad showing that it is here for parties to years of the trade partners that retaliatory economic response jobs and trade that can be targeted trade war break down charts as the nuclear set of Wisconsin and military conflict and addiction speed of climate they set up plans of the 84 sentence on the force meeting to rating for our ship and the world greatest change world coming out to certain ways to render interviews recent years in that cost of nuclear returns on impact factor for our element so it's critical prevention or global trade yes conflicts bureau or in the Middle East areas that are running worse here and that war is here that regions Israel class and trust in the negotiation run and trouble nation that is to say negotiations on the intentions of that CS nuclear remains rigorous and unpredictable working teams of instability building consensus for shared globalization of world nuclear economic integration place session issues plus the region economic cooperation once every 7 hours alliances and imperative legislation that years led away from original alliance after World War II to discourage from certain military nationals now that having place emphasis on trying to deployment and economic security failure that economic replaceability of the key region in Germany saying scenario 2 is economic fear and instability when we are trying to identify terrorism the single largest threat to global growth short-term spikes are the doomsday grabbing center and the SLS global creation which is making out relevant uncertainty along with that we should not underestimate the policy makers create the uncertainty first that there is for the trade intense by discipline trade action other than business and investment decision based on factor horizon trade feasibility investment not really linear uncertainty over trading investment and even trying to earn out of the growth to and practicing about stock about material world share state and physical and most direct fixed number of chapter mentions of the demand which is gradually direct fixed trade there's unmade on all issues pay pass and cost traction and on the market will refile in whether that's good that how you feel about to go over everything there's news about escalating trade intention markets make sense of the way we should consumer markets will continue to absorb this single big express the global economy investment question whether it's elections going to say that that's the story that's the pressure from the purest financial markets and unregulated ways the root cause of slow authority of the executive management that yes potential economic pricing the job is created one cause the too much power over trade and present product without additional understanding trading qualification covering like even one class and be too high grade terms duties and decision between unavailability and spectacular role in every single achieving influence by this Congress that laws too much authority whether the president might be the first social or American security even whether we're more jobs every time to the church for sure whether they're technically retaliation on the Spanish Congress and the trade war easy to win the Congress as trade authority and the president Jones practical willing maker hostage to the most one person brings unfortunate consequences it's all about uncertainty that's vital to the global growth of the threats are the problem grants all the uncertainty prosperity our enemies uncertainty savvy investment consumer consequences social pricing this is an advantage first problem and our global rate not only because of magnitude but also because uncertainty produces weakest proper trade Trump, trade policies increase economic uncertainty, threat, bringing that state policy uncertainties that cause the U.S. economic uncertainty. AI is essential to understand American project of sustained economic trade policy regaining trade level uncertainty and another department no one really knows how to good explanation to analyze the second uncertainty from the across sector section of economic large truck manufacturing and extending towards the source of their words of social media and uncertainty generate trade because it's being whether uncertainty will reduce economic contraction global order costs for international profit escalation targets and 17 China, Russia, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia were international terms of the North Korea 300 on the liberty of the last one and first we had cash truck conflict shooting and cars before time class professional federal law traditional credit bad traditional unavailable given zero low ground the next video per credit and was global conflict past global response period activates hard deliver certain information sometimes losing take on illusion that government does not work himself for against election platforms or 7 illegitimate government feeling good further within the government hasn't set for magnet progress moving Aragon all national center tries to Trump adversary field with behind us we're just Connor Trump is uniquely dangerous culture and see whether president engaged in a version of worship and psychology and makes with false and confident or distrustful and simplicity are likely to build simplicity over solutions that never popular vision again I'm trying to point to the systems model predicting the Trump funding no matter economic action increase of use of force of 2011 Trump initiate more than one major dollar per quarter that the plan solves really the power of impose shares from other areas would keep executive finishing of workers on 18 months of bad economic foreign policy comes over comes as a year 3 policy without that work with the president who come right over the country and sort of more damage done under sitting in the constitution theory is trying to for Trump and laws or any other functional state country in front of the president it goes over protection generally should be religion engage terrorists such action regarding the constitutional authority comes to the military policy countries for congressional approval for any future terrorist the president directly terror the Congress would retain authority to approve that personal terror low senator as such trade policy explanation coffee trade relations by the agreements Congress and by next ban China unpredictable trade on rights U.S. China relations policy future treasury bond sales Trump's over respect sustainable trade relations policy Watson and again Trump is going to turn the big fingers and economics to the fact that by the China and set up by our bond prices right the rights to raise the Washington's interest cost further or the debt However, costing and trade as a problem refers to being a problem for this negotiating the problems government instead of supposed that domestic internationally must negotiate with the same people repeatedly that different countries negotiation for because some of the taking the output of work starts working on this that prevent the dollar working with China Trump's not doing that he's running the other thing hard price ads for the whole Chinese ever even give China no we can see the use of working to go to the financial market see this don't like it at all economic basis for control part of the economic cost of this bond sell over spurred by the threat of trade policy unpredictability U.S. bond markets susceptible by making that becomes a decision that this will the first bonds from including grants on trade the Chinese will recommend funding regulation for good it's all when you go bond market chance on this sector it's Trump's scarce trade record trade more vulnerable China they might have to when we're serving up the available supply there's not fall threat trade policies keep on sell all be used to retaliate that raises interest rates and crashes equities and cost of countries to sell was watch speed in 18s use China Asian closer to the trade war with special sport by China you can have global China that's tariffs $50 billion US with the implementation against Trump's heavy consider $100 billion additional tariffs going to try to and average each other around some already trying to fire back and send each other to US traders while trying to block them off because it's dollars net trans see all of that's collecting interest in China sold money and trying to also have on market based on negative interest rates and bond prices and trying to flood the markets supply the US bond like yields would rise and become more expensive for the US company for more expensive for the government issue that everybody's going to crash into the China it's a double structure the other and it's all high US interest rates export to Gulf countries cost or economics cost all and 18 the oil risk all states have been nearly all over something basically economics interest rates the growth in the recession having used to value money against all over the interest rates under the paying currency the dollar falls you the currency not being dollar taking the further rate and we according to the British currency you can not raise the cost of the capital flow by the interest rate better dollar in this measures keep the money out of the local currency higher interest rates you build slower risk and rates the government budgets rates increase the cost of businesses increase the interest rates for economics time scale the time is really bad for Saudi economy Saudi plus of global confidence escalation pricing and the plus of Saudi inflation increase that for regulatory uncertainty is pushing in Saudi border pressure regional instability will escalate in Saudi Arabia still being curved because the work around Pakistan goes around Pakistan pressure intervention surge influence and other results like loss and that we're coming for rating and influence with those like business or Saudi Arabia is built to international markets and every one that would be sort of spiritual economic crisis the reputation be had from the apart from it a full-fledged trade wars coming between the US and China plus trade policy exchange retaliation and the result of Asian Chinese imposition here so we can begin the different trade wars that it was the potential as a nation and economic Chinese here so we're retaliation trouble also the retaliation is actually very good because trade war the state of Chinese here said $3 billion for the US export trade and much of the China costs without damage across the economic landscape here so other imports to the bottom line companies here so doing nothing to reduce trade deficits by lateral deficits consistent with larger share of value business for China and originating place other than China deficit is consistent in commercial trade and services the rate of trade for China is not a trade war China or trade war escalated with soybeans here spikes before prices in major CCP McKinsey 18 escalated one crops emerging into our trade war so again China is the buyers buyers so we can largely be the sheep nutrition saying so we of course the relation for tiers that was a big nutrition nations the world largest pork producer high one of the farmers increase the price of meat for citizens prices of conflict citizens of the issue of the CCP the short pork plus of course it's affected the run of the state and the pork is stable the cost of the sharp increase sharply in Chinese species use soybean and imports the Chinese fish began looking special things starting in January trade tensions the Trump administration began to eat up Trump's the trade guy and because with China the fewer tariff loan costs the soybean spice certainly trade policies PCBS maintaining China value tax is probably including soybean pork but it comes here from that preservation of the damage is going to escalate here prices and everything else around financial markets plus that's going to see whether Trump introduced China smoking, sugar, more sensitive, risk of hearing, shocking, interrelation, pharmaceutical tariffs, working the worst of prices, smoking, cost 7% on purely Chinese tariffs, what is called American cars on the market, less than 50% tariff, their exports, these tariffs, the difference between profit and loss, across the board, investors, shopping, administration, tariffs, rather than cost against company, enforcement of tax laws, along to consumers, the plan, the United States federal government should restrict the authority of the president to initiate trade barriers without the approval of Congress, raising pork prices, cost 10 and tariff, take 2 possible 17 additional should feel uneasy, the reason that fuels really behind the GM, prices, right, China doesn't, that China doesn't understand inflation, charge, she will lash out, it's like, global, comprehensive, the main parties, she wants to be helpful, the choices for the restoration of areas, the greatest areas, companies live there, want to get SCF, the company to be non-regulation, that which will trade yourself, get trouble, costs, redemption, the sources, cash out, the policies, generating international revenue, stipulation, which China will be for the content, and liberal, and integration, I think it's not integration, managing this language, integration, this is the theory of China, workers, transfer, 17 by supply war.
Okay, why will the Fed do a rate hike now?
The rate hike is completely irrelevant. That's something that's planned and baked into their schedule. But a Chinese bond sell-up is something that's out of the
Okay, makes sense. Pork tariffs. So your evidence from February, China did a retaliatory pork tariff in June. I like Googled this, or you want to see what's your answer to that?
They're increasing right now, which means that it's
different between
ripple effect.
increasing and existing.
Because the effects are not immediately felt, but they have long-term consequences.
I guess we'll just spend the rest of the 1 AC talking about your answer to the executive counterplan. So scenario 1 is trade. Your internal link about this is about fears regarding the trading system, e.g. the U.S. role in tariffs now.
The second internal
What if
link is also the
United States
authority that is
Congress
vested in the president himself, and that's
Okay.
the minor evidence.
Do you have a card that says that if Congress were like bindingly consulted, then they would reduce tariffs? Existing tariffs?
That's not relevant for us to solve our advantage. We do read cards that say that Republicans are pro-free trade and people in Congress are pro-free trade, which is able to solve, but it eliminates the cloud of uncertainty over Trump's trade policy.
Uncertainty regarding Trump's trade policy. Got it. Next work thing. So let's take first time, Brett. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't need that. Excuse me, strategies. Shot policies. Let's hear it.
You put that card.
Yeah.
You apply to all tariff authority? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does trade barrier mean something besides tariff?
I think so.
Huge trade barrier.
A tariff is a trade barrier?
Tariff is a trade.
Okay, it's trade barrier. It's the word that we used.
Yeah, I just put it in.
Just makes sense.
Yeah, no, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, if you have a different card. Okay, yeah, you put that card. We'll just keep this. We'll start with her, bro. Starting now.
I would have blood on singers with yours.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. Pretty kind of restaurant.
Steel the crowd.
What did you label the advantages? Trade in China.
Yeah. No messages come. There are a lot of coupons for food and chow.
Where?
Yeah, it is. Should be more. Food and chow. Did you reply Oswald?
I got it.
I just delete you off the chain.
I got it.
But you're off the chain.
Why? I'm tired.
Because he's so active then.
Yeah, I read a little bit.
It's weird.
Yeah, I can see it. Around last night.
Yeah.
But we should be able to have a email chain. Here we go. I got it.
Oh, are you not here? Sure.
We all are short on decision time.
And then you're a stop like a minute 15 left to go to see cross section. Just like, excuse me, it's not about
I was right on that.
Yeah.
Hey, back, yeah, it's just it's
Well, it was like Ayush and I were in a little exchange where she paused. So you're like, yeah, thank you, whatever, I don't care, I'm leaving. Welcome back.
All right. Well, that's cool. But you know, needs are needs.
I'm sorry.
It's 7 China grand. Is everyone good?
First off, the Victor was Dems won the House, but it's close to 10-23 Dems. So small leader Republicans forecast give Dems a 6 and 7 chance of winning the House for still 2 weeks. Circumstances going to change the most important districts. The entire race will cool politics Dems up 7.7% general. Near ballot at 2.5 to midterm grounds. In 18 grounds, to a position for Republicans almost universally lock arms to direct legislative action. Direct the special conscious youth leadership setting on missed equals zero voters attacked to Trump as long as the Republicans hold the congressional majority. They were not considered the president field and how Trump against the risk Republicans. Therefore, 100% less partisan voters needed a Democratic House to oppose the Democratic president almost all House. Swing districts candidate for percent of the just space voters out there. Crossovers and independent voters that may prefer some percentage of coming into their own child rejections direction, reinforcing the dangers of the president's climate on 2016. Young blue collar white women in college educated white men House Democrats alone about 35% of each government about 2014 midterms this week, both equally in their congressional provinces. GOP House ensures Obamacare will make it 18. If Republicans start the House, I expect them to repeal Obamacare. The political Obamacare shift in ways that force out leaders in a more conservative direction. They will not be scared to vote for Obamacare repeal. They may face the direct pressure of their opposing because they will have to pursue Obamacare repeal to be speaker. ACA solves diseases about here. Producer 14 ACA will expend insurance that positively impact security. The security decision against bioterrorism. People need active care, newly insured will seek care earlier in dealing with bioterror pandemic requires they can seek treatment to diagnose, prescribe care, mitigate support. Everyone illness is critical. Security to have a bioterror attack. The same holds true in managing emerging diseases caused extinction by 61B. Introduce long-range transportation, discuss progressive changes. They can find new hosts, get local extinction. There's not 49% of our population have called the transition exchange with the global, increase global transportation decentralization, maybe pushing critical threshold even, system that can be destabilized by a few longer connections that are outbreak and very well proof unstoppable bioterror causing chicken revolt. And 13, the science of biology has made enormous advances in the field of Mars, terrorists will have vastly more deadly drugs, biotechnology is advancing so rapidly, hard to keep track of, terrorists could not kill. Humanities of scientists may publish the details in the near future, may, someone may, probably humanization, modern biotech will soon be capable of bringing about the demise of civilization. Next ops team. Alpha is a restriction on executive power, creates a condition to justify executive action which maintains the same level of executive power. Precaution, the executive power comes from the power to execute the law. Executive power enables the president to control other officers, conditions on restrictions, punishment. It's the restriction cannot be synonymous with a condition. Restriction offers a limitation, but negative one is limited say. Allows the power to imposing restrictions like wait times, cabinet approval, agency consultation, multiplies the case list, anonymized topic research, seconds ground, they weaken, links to core negative generics, justify abusive circumvention, apps. Next off is the Farm Bill. It passed after midterms 2019 and too late in 2028. The Farm Bill will be taken up after the November major difference elected delays committee leaders from both the houses and progress toward the agreement. The real deadlines December for Congress bills situation and adopting Korean 35th industry starting the whole process of coordinated Congress principle kind of major impact on area resulted. Programs reverting to rate structures from the 40s, restricting executive authority, rules, agenda, focus, zero number related, circular tabs, authority overshadows the decision about both the taking aggressive things, showdown increase the showdown norms, governance, security, increase through the active debates are fluid, the only way to act is constant negotiation, governments not acting the energy of officials, diversity, authority, showdown number one issue like this one metastasizes inside what refuses to cooperate in other dimensions of legislation. Farm Bill U.S. Act Innovation Powers and 18 legislation determines the position of U.S. Ag as product consequences of U.S. Ag competitors are leadership simply away from the determined science, crop diseases, and resource food, and their areas critical to U.S. Ag. U.S. Ag requires we should sustain current levels of productivity and innovation flow from the U.S. bolstering Brazil's productivity and R&D will be essential to ensure food security extinction. Because of 170, the U.S. faces many tensions, ISIS, and wars with no clear round of competition with China's far out of control food, rapid food shortage, supplies and stable prices, produce stable countries, food insecurity, mass migration, learning, conflict, disrupting economic and military diplomatic relations, rising income, produced demand for foods brought from American farmers, emerging markets, produce 20% back from exports that are expected to grow these deteriorating industry towards next off-state secrets. They undermine the privilege and score deference spills over when certain 12 the courts traditionally been doctrine to about the authority of the executive court should give greater deference to the state secrets privilege of Congress and act specific legislation require the president follow certain procedures. Then a court can enforce that procedure undermines military superiority down to the privilege way to skip a role of the bench litigation joint department issue to the doctrine of budget. Case 6 contain good infrastructure service the laws of conduct war company deeply embedded the statement there never damaging information government review dependent upon a corporate efficiency aspect of national defense global nuclear war 117 or certain Jewish park military incidents squads the large scale wars nuclear changes to the world by saying military strong the US officers to ensure behavior that might otherwise trigger major conflict and middle room for air and press my nuclear weaponized power and top of China tariffs good. We'll win the trade war taking 18 because it runs trade deficit that will likely eventually put China and has been more dependent on access to American market basically generally vulnerable to being pushed around by watching the American economy operate against the Chinese economy. China's GDP numbers are surely overstated. The American economy is stable in China's. On the verge of a debt crisis, China's considered like extra. Now native capital foundation has been on balance allowing American treasury obligation in the middle of 2014 to fund security that's not causing any noticeable effect. The ability to finance deficit. China is the lowest cost producer of many items. Secular centers will happen in China. Consumption now ultimately not the driver for growth in China. The only driver remains investing because the debt considers China technically losing the ability to create growth by investing capital only. For the Chinese economy, but also Communist Party political system gives China's incentive to hold back retaliatory moves. Trump holds a high card that comes to China like his predecessors. He knows that the trade war is good, but it'll force them to play by the rules and mercantilist policy that area in 2018. Trump may have paved the way for a movement for international trade between Trump's ultra trade phrase with China perhaps with simply far-reaching potential consequences of many existing trade agreements to benefit modernization with Congress agreed the U.S. has genuine trade agreements against China including intellectual property theft, asymmetrical technology transfer, non-tariff barriers, the world's major trade powers will avoid a mutually destructive approach instead of outcome mitigation. The yield of Europe and fair regime reinforcing this Europe fluid in case the European Union may be willing to consider zero tariff automobile industry offers the Soviet Union motor spending race like the only the U.S. could run their off cost of rising debt and higher risk of conflict waiting etc. There might as well call the evil empire today trade war redeems all economies with the U.S. which is relatively less dependent on foreign markets with us cheaper domestic markets generally more adaptable than other countries to do better than most others international world economy. Chinese Spanish markets suffer with those. The U.S. and others all goes leave the U.S. more able and willing to hold the multi-euro regime as global economic influence and standing that threatens WTO global trade and U.S. leadership taking 18. She is letting nothing include trade obligation the other way the breathtaking nation looks like a short reason because solve the World Trade Organization Beijing's rely low interest loans from state investment funds and development plans to repeat clear violation of WTO policy. Beijing also sets specific goals for market. I should find to see these goals within China and ILO.
Market in China and outlaw. You want to read this?
Yeah, read that.
Tech innovations key to U.S. hard and soft power, soft cyber attack tripper. In 17, the U.S. leadership besides tech and then unfortunately hard power, project economic and soft power, anti-industrial constantly involved in career advantages. The country must continually innovate tech, advanced security, advanced cyber capability, defend infrastructure, tech capability, developing violations guard against a devastating attack by non-state actors, market and non-state actors. Cyber causes great power warfare. In 16, Trump enters in an unsettled time. The U.S., Russia, and China are at war in cyberspace. However, their attacks on critical vulnerabilities only work if, particularly, they can attack the U.S. They end up pushing the U.S. into an escalatory spiral.
Read the court's not playing tax, don't read the card.
The Supreme Court of the United States should rule the President cannot initiate trade waivers without the approval of Congress.
Yes, sir.
The United States Executive Branch should issue an executive order that will rescind all previous tariffs, engage in secret consultation on tariffs with Congress or announce that it will refrain from utilizing tariff authority, refrain from conducting rate hikes, and act in accordance with the mandates of the Republican anthem. This policy, United States formally publish legal justification for this policy, implement self-binding mechanisms to ensure compliance with this order. That's all.
Don't read that card.
China.
No, don't read that.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
Fed interest rate is an inevitable co-star on 10 when U.S. interest rate action been rising for a while. The Fed is currently in the midst of a hiking cycle. Inflation pressures finally appear to be increasing and sustained rise over 3.13%. Appears likely to clear the way for a potential quick move to the next levels at 3.75% and 4% as soon as late 2018 or early 2019. For tariffs now, the reason is ET sanctions, the plan doesn't solve them. He knows since 4 years, core producer have been by second batch, having your for tariffs, trying to put a hold on all of us, just because we're losing money, we don't know what it keep going. The US Fed move China's country to start collecting additional 25% import duty on Friday on American port tariffs as it targets Trump's action against Beijing for alleged intellectual property theft, verbal checks on US-China conflict on 17 to 3 so. China's military capabilities, economic independence, suspicious of international institutions, state its economic disparity depends on trade, internal and external ability to access resources, deep institutional engagement has exhibited quite similar to rising challenges by China. While strong against them to initiate conflicts, builder does not have power to allow it to serious challenges the US must say, more than persuades global institutions prevent possibility of grand institutions, something that rising powers the world assumption do not attempt to do no. Global escalation of the Middle East war dire into the not long ago wars in the Middle East were into the brink very quickly with the Americans, Soviets, even involved enough. Opposite side that is over World War III, so we cancel the attacks on one side of the Middle Eastern competition, global competition, involving nuclear weapons have all been done. Do you want this card?
No.
Trade. Circumvention, Trump uses IEPA as able and 18 IEPA as an incredibly powerful in the national security. Trump has defined future competition security concerns. IEPA will cause disruption to markets if the president decides to use IP little within his authority. IEPA prevents action with minimal oversight. That sanctions, they don't solve that. McCarthy and Shapiro on 16 IEPA has been used to implement sanctions on foreign parties in person. Carter on Iran, Obama against North Korea. The WTO doesn't matter. Or Obama's up to the organization, almost nothing to show for as far as stabilization. Okay, market at crude. International trading system broken out 318. The global
You don't need that either. Just read the trade defense. Yeah, no, that one. That card. Yeah, you just read that.
No trade wars, China Iron Cut Valley, and 70 traders, along with Dr. Facility being taught to follow competitors for advantage, increased trade aggregate retention against historical and analytical trade question about the simplicity of the vast majority previous week until only the bilateral effect of ground, previous oversight with proper goal, established in historical case, including the Dutch and English rivalry and the Anglo-German rivalry, the invasion of Kuwait, we tested using Creed data results strongly support our claims that countries that produce similar goods are significantly more likely to fight, even taking into account their bilateral trade findings. There are also several checks we have identified as significant and practical and important cause of trade. Now, you want this card? No impact on the econ dominating the Clarion 15 do economic data generating conflict, economic stress associated with distillatory policy, drawing data from 109, district graph data 67, which terminated after the considered offers twice selected to terminate during downturn control of all main alternative explanation for peaceful relations, systemic changes, as well as many other confounding variables. These questions existing theories claiming that after there's system with divergent war and argues that peace may result from economic troubles.
Read, yeah.
Trade wars in that back Iglesias in 18, the scale of actions actually pretty small. The consequences are relatively small. The 25% tax amounts are tax increases by $8.5 billion small compared to the $150 billion per year worth of tax that Congress passed. Price seems to look small in context. Soybean farmers are another challenge to people being adversely impacted. The sort of price drop we've seen in the markets is large, but the price of agricultural commodities volatile all the time. The current soy swing is nothing compared to the price collapse that happened in the summer of 2014. The two marks were summer of 20. Oh, actually, I'll just send that mark for you.
Yes.
You're a couple of minutes. It's
That's not the card you're on. Yeah.
Once you have it.
Sounds good.
What's the stats of everything?
Conditional. You're ready to that way.
Okay, you read counterplans. So this
Whoa.
conditions on restrictions card. This attachment card says restriction as used in this title policy cannot be synonymous with a condition. Why does this define restriction more broadly?
Because it makes a distinction between conditioning aspects and a restriction that limits authority. You should read this in the context of our definition of authority. It has to be.
Which people changed their votes on the Farm Bill after restricting Trump's trade power?
First, we made an argument about the fight itself, pushing it off of the docket. We made a 2019 key card. Second, Republicans changed their votes because they're protectionists in the status quo.
means that the plan passes immediately, so why does the fight push it off the docket?
The plan will still have to pass Congress. That doesn't happen with the click of a button. There has to be a negotiation in which it passes both the House and the Senate. It gets signed by the president.
Who refuses to switch their vote? Or who refuses to proceed with it? Because there has to be some entrenched bloc which decides that they will fight and hold this.
Are you asking who fights the plan or who fights the Farm Bill?
As a result of the plan, who does not want to push for the Farm Bill?
Congressional Republicans.
Republicans?
Yes.
But
they're coming to a deal right now.
Vote for the plan.
So they're coming to. Sorry, did they vote for the plan? No, it's a restriction on Trump's trade authority.
Republicans don't vote for the plan.
Okay, they're protecting
China tariff stuff. This chain card is from March, and it says it's from the Daily Beast, and it says the U.S. will win the trade war. The recent round of escalation of tariffs from the Chinese side indicates that they're not backing down. Do you have a card in the last couple of weeks that says?
We make it. Okay, it's not about the specific tariffs that have been instituted. Our evidence is quite good on making a structural claim about the nature of the economies and saying that China's economy, because it's so investment-based, is going to lose the trade war. It's not based on exports. It's not based on.
What's the link to U.S. tech leadership?
It's declining now because China's a cheater. It cheats in WTO trade rules all this time because it institutes
Why
intellectual property.
does that prevent the U.S. from developing like defense industrial base, which
China
is
steals our
largely
secrets. China steals our secrets now through intellectual property theft. Our evidence indicates the trade war will
Do
prevent
you think you have a card that says that China will stop hacking the United States as a result of losing?
It's not hacking. They have policies right now that say if you want to invest in China, you have to give us your intellectual property.
Yeah, like
those policies violate the WTO and they would go away as a result of the trade war after they lose it.
U.S. defense companies only, build tech for the United States because of laws that prevent, foreign companies from getting access to our military contractors. So, why are they trying to do business in China? To win this, you must win.
Because manufacturing links spill across countries. We have evidence in our KIPFR card that says constantly involving security networks require innovation from multiple countries. Beyond that, the Chang piece of evidence also says that we're reliant on
the state secret stuff. What's so secret about our military that keeps us?
Our argument is that it's not something that's so secret about our military, rather that the process in which you force the executive to go through when justifying their terrorist
What war
Congress
can we not fight because of that process?
Sorry?
What war or tactic can we not engage in because of that process?
Our argument is that when you force the executive to follow procedures, that undermines the privilege writ largely, which means that when companies go to court, you're not. Yes, cool.
Trade, China, T, ESR, courts, state secrets, trade war good, farm bill, bidders. Sorry.
You sent it out.
It was ESR courts, you said? And then state secrets, China trade, or China tariffs good.
Then farm bill, bidders. All right, is everyone good?
No circumvention, durable fiat solves involving Congress, solves all the investment certainty stuff, no IEPA things, Sable and 18 Trump decided against IEPA, 3 factors played a role. First, CFI in the U.S. exists the administrative structure, significant hurdles that have to be overcome to create new rules where IEPA brought IEPA, uses like the single challenge, the arguments issues, still violence, loss of Trump, heroes, the reason could apply to IEPA, Congress will take steps to require that we implement those, going to indicate new open challenges, vote with the SME, particularly the administration expense, to be honest, traditional use, the plan solves the trade war, evidence indicates it's escalating and their tensions are ratcheting up in the status quo, only the plan is going to be able to solve the recent impact on the economy, evidence indicates we lose trillions of dollars in investment because China's our main trading partner, which causes unique escalation of foster evidence indicates Trump's psychological profile makes him uniquely likely to lash out trade war is the key internally because most of our investment is done through trade with China. China to get free hikes are not enough. They're built into the sort of Fed's yearly schedule. Our argument is that China's bond sell-off is a unique pressure that makes the escalation uniquely likely. Tariffs now do not take out all of our affirmative because they're about the United States applying it to China. China will apply with retaliatory tariffs, which causes soybean price spikes and causes pork prices to spike. They can see that the CCP impact that goes nuclear. China will become adventurous. There's no chance to be able to solve China. The first piece of the only warning in this card is economics and trade. That proves that the plan is the only mechanism to be able to solve that Middle Eastern escalation is true. As soon as Saudi Arabia collapses, which is the plan is the only mechanism to be able to solve because our evidence indicates results in product conflagration draws in great powers. The T argument we do transfer authority because it's solely vested in the executive now. The plan means Congress gets to vote on it and entirely restrict the terrorists and restriction on executive power means taking away discretion. Parker in 1920 the outro piece of place restriction on executive power to take power from the government over Texas has no discretion. The resolution modifies the area within congressionally delegated. Their interpretation would delete an entire area the topic which are limits and results in state of restrict means secular boundaries, but it's distinct from prohibition. Whereas the phrase before restriction means restraint within bounds. It's not mean to prohibit. They don't limit outright prohibitions on 5 acts maximum. That'll limit economic topics because it starts the basis of make reasonability good is good enough to restrict the act because we make the make it possible ESR firm do both. It solves because it has the executive and Congress do it simultaneously. Firm do the counterpart. It doesn't solve trade. One business certainty is the key internally. Trump the counterpart looks like it's reversible, which is that it does solve the investor signal. Second, other countries will know about trade expectations without congressional certainty, which is that the plan is the only mechanism to be able to solve. It doesn't solve China. Trump has already tried to negotiate with China, and they don't trust, and they need a credible congressional signal to define clear intentions on trade use, conditionalities about issue, customs tax charges, good for the 2EC, which leads to basements and negative creates moral hazard, shock of that one, and season around that, because it solves foreign countries don't trust the counterpart FT. International statement for the U.S. team in the top position. The terrorists were already implemented until they are already implemented. They are on troops to defuse the growing political pressure. The U.S. president the Chinese counter with this alone. Court of law source found the officials said that they were not held discussion faces of the current administration. The secret consultation plank will inevitably link because it's the Trump presidency which that links to net benefit. ESR fails. Congress links is key to every advantage. Carbon and 920. Trump's terrorists are a big bad deal. The Trump rules and American citizen and self incentive to return the terrorists reflect the national priorities. Viral special interest Trump being terrorist corrupt which will be lasting power because the terrorists possessing the executive they can turn terrorists election effective investment innovation version of the There are also rules about what the president made by Trump has made about trading this current culture of terrorists. We're supposed to be the more specific policy, but Trump was also black against the vague grievance and the way Davis Trump was also advocating the rule of law replacing the personal waves. There's all nasty consequences. I was at the door for corruption that will also be recently political favoritism running while the records on the way to negotiate critical and that but documents the USA guarantee access to the market will feel back there. Experts are making feels like terrorists also terrorists don't know reliable partnership with the companies also including follow the promise and whatever it's Canadian blocking into zero rate hikes means they can't adjust financial policy at all regardless of inflation or unemployment, which is also equally as bad for the economy. The counterbalance of liberal bad y'all. Communication also encouraged us to be the administration down to terrorists which is trying to represent the last expanded the administration can be some countries exceptions just a few months after later the worst of course the law has spending only a week that Trump was in the account later suggested that everyone limited the terrorists and next to the recent examples of cases of the ZT with the days Trump removed a change of heart of the policy make it hard for the trade partnership with the U.S. government is going to do the court's counterplan permutation to vote that solves the inclination that of permutation to counter because the plan says U.S. FD short circuit the counter west and SFD Trump's character in history the Harvard boundary pushing there's also good reasons for the administration to separate or Congress can do this emission exceeding the laws of the courts will be held the president's target the 3 or 4 said the federal government is the law of the executive Trump will reason about the court shows himself for no obstacle to find the executive law Congress exercise power to engage the voters and slow the administration down the power is vested constitutionally within Congress which means that the courts have no jurisdiction over trade policy but the plan solves Canada relations Timmons and 18 by threatening Canada trade Trump the greatest difference partnership U.S. history Trump says taxing Canadian steel shows up impeachment literally turn Canada in the U.S. military and North Korea interviewing the military collaborating intelligence sharing more the terrorists have the longest standing security partnership terrorists have affected the military alliance think you're going to really reach security relationship executive Mr. Family you examine supply chains to suss out terrorists smart that card terrorists that's all cyber Carafano and tech required no rights involved wide range of tests required no rights involved there's the community numbers versus the third parties connectivity with vulnerability to communities such as Canada offers value to the U.S. government infrastructure is destroyed over cooperation with the U.S. system international technical cooperation requirements such as Canada and U.S. companies in the cyber space mark that card that cyberspace they read the impact for us so I don't need to win it I don't need to read an impact card for it now the state secrecy obviously the plan's not global military supremacy and the plan's ruling but not violate the state secret doctrine their link evidence is not about the plan no it's only 79 the commission is concerned about the forms of legal disclosure state secret compromise the national security is with the rate high disclosure of government security agents which is under the developer no evidence supporting claim the overseas in fact there's no broader spill over to broader executive powers which is proven by the fact that there have been trade restrictions in the past restrictions now not the link down and example the public Congress increasing the legislation around the Trump the agriculture section of law the bill one of the multiple fronts of the bills have also passed out the writing we can estimate the members of the field that Trump have U.S. interests there are no state secrets that are involved in trade negotiations so the court would not have to adjudicate fights over trade or non-unique person alienating Trump section regarding the trade for combination law granting what is the signature of Republicans release by urging Trump everything terrible by lawmakers and the public discussion the current between Congress and the military one of the latest issue congressional talks Congress and President start to each other in regards to trade policy the trade war continues they don't solve the internal link to the cyber they don't solve the internal link to the cyber stuff and trade is a much larger internal link because it's about the exchange of goods between the United States and China but our military supremacy now should be sufficient to be able to solve a trade war is escalating which kills the Chinese economy threatens global economic progress so trips their internal links spends attention to the long U.S. China U.S. trade war psychological effects so larger than the trade impact of the United States global plus with the force assets sales with the government personal equity values the trade war consuming the long-term consequence effect of the the global economy rules based on the orders and under the assumption of growth the legislature will reason the global economic governance this assumption as I collapse we should not expect to return to the beginning of the post-World War II rules based on the trade war seems less likely to negotiate tech more like a guessing industry prolong the common division trust and government starting mutual beneficial cooperation their uniqueness evidence is far too old the $300 billion tariffs that were just imposed obviously disprove their internal link trade sanctions escalate AFP and 10-3 the close calls after the two for military moves something to be looking at the ability to test Americans and the South China Sea and develop China's motivated responsible collusion and meaning of intimidation and illness calculation the trade war is also inferior to Beijing Washington and have to do terrorists against Chinese imports he wants to double down putting about pressure on China as possible the one EC evidence proves that it will lead to the collapse of the CCP which impacts the disadvantage also China will not lose an international dispute mechanism because the United States is the one who's escalating the trade war which means that China has legal standing which means that we access a larger internal to the unraveling of the global trade system of farm bill it's a lie shaft and 7 the farm law because everything prevention of the business of the essential foods by the subsidy of the corporate with the foods by urban expansion system of surplus of control farm bills include the consolidation of all special prevention of the farm law because politics are wrong 1 no votes 2 parties are ideological 2 issues are compartmentalized no still over 3 Trump has no agenda or policy details election and funding by subsidy in 2023 new plan will be a focus on tweaking the fall funding election funding other governments like the new proposal come up with the Democratic sports commission Democrats in the House wall fights Washington was until Trump and Republicans arrived at the promise of battle of the league ball rating possible the government showed that they don't have enough votes which with the wall funding increase the Republicans the House legislation will which will leave the immigration laws major route continues to consider the legislation will also be a big fan after the election no farm bill recruited in Act 27 has been more snappy he says farm with a limit of his example long restrictions on Republicans governors are worse and also allowed to be a little complexity and people global to get it done as global has been normalized it's just a snap issues like commodity energy prices are also playing bug we saw the food security impact in 18 Trump's reports made a bad summer worse right up to the balance sheet high security down the summer business security the $6.23 billion loss. So it's going to get farmers saying, I'm done, when you can increase the number of farms on the market. There's no internal link. Their evidence says that R&D is funded, but there is no evidence that says that it goes to global food flow, so they don't solve it. In terms of 50 million people would still be uninsured, and if the pandemic and biotech is existential, there's no way going to your primary care doctor would solve it. GOP cancel healthcare ever in 18 Republican action or having to go through some Obamacare campaign against the law. Profile GOP is also going to scuttle Obamacare representation, national course, their conversation on people who pass healthcare legislation, Republican rule, order press by the lines of reasons, super does the people will be able to fill this promise to keep the law, no pandemic extinction for required all 17. No pandemics are really like the constitution, the 830 court extinction, less than 4% of the disease is not, or including and other factors between the species, but also numerous colleagues, person capable of first not likely to be called the passion kill lovers, before they have been able to spread by extremes of pure COVID-19. And if there was an attack, we would make here for everyone. GOP would now Scott and 1989 Christians have become the rest of our low way in critical role in election day together. The gel goes overwhelmingly for Republicans and measure they were reliable voters, Democrats are relying on us for coalition might evangelical community strong as a alignment of the bigger politics. Will turn out as voters and think evangelicals can be crucial to the coalition that keeps Republicans in power. Martha Card at power, hacking, Catherine Senate 823. It's too late to protect the majority of midterm election when the university the U.S. Supreme Court doesn't take the issues, use suppression or attack abortion, running use misinformation, what's happening to generate wrong politics and the average people with the same impact to youth democracy. Like technology is only the birthday individuals, military team, midterm election, trade does not matter. Cuts here, and 70 local accountability on trade that have abortion, individual, no opinion, trade, local abortion, representative, 20% women, no opinion, as a representative voters, regulated, the Senate president, check out the individual level, the information of details, all the specific, there are no times to work with the legislation, not to publicize their votes, few comments, inform the voters' position regarding trade efforts, require that no increase in the probability of voters supporting the trade. The GOP would have to vote for the plan so they alienate Trump's base. That's key to the midterm ballot. 18 Democrats are 82 Republicans are enthusiastic, 24 Democrats Democratic enthusiastic, 1 hour voter challenge percentages of Trump's powerful base. Also, the energy increase, increase power, 99 Democrats, 23, additional hot seats, 2 Senate seats, market card, and 2 Senate seats. Everyone's more concerned about healthcare and shit. Megan, 18 health care, top priority Republicans have made affordable care, political and one of the next 54% of healthcare tuition, the most important, no other issue is even close. The cards are like first.
Oh, so wait, what did you ask? Oh, yeah, sorry, I got you. I'll also just like take off the card. Pretty cool.
So, those spaces are obviously where everything's marked.
Cool. We have to process?
Yeah.
Let's start on the ESR counter plan. This first piece of evidence you read by Financial Times indicates that Trump is not credible because there's always the threat of sanctions and that people don't believe him when he puts sanctions on hold.
It's just because Trump's like a bad negotiator and he uses sanctions as an example.
Right. If I understand that on day one they wouldn't believe him, but by day 50, why is there still a solvency deficit?
Because the counter plan looks reversible, and our covenant card actually speaks to this specifically. It says that, yeah, it is possible for you to stop doing tariffs, but other countries are wary of that, and they don't want to invest
So what's
too
the
much.
impact of that?
Wait, no, hold on.
Yeah.
This is important.
Yeah.
The other countries will not want to invest too much money in United States supply chains as a result because they think the tariffs are reversible. So even if by day 50 they have not done it, in those interim 50 days, no one's invested in United States supply chains.
I guess why are those 50 days key? Because after like a year, they kind of get the message, no tariffs are coming, right?
No.
Why? Where does your evidence
Our covenant card speaks to that specifically, so does our Financial Times.
About a year
There are
of no tariffs.
tariffs.
It says that when Trump puts tariffs on hold, that's not effective because there's always the threat. When he announces that there's no tariffs, and then there's no tariffs for a year.
Countries
why
don't
is
believe
there
that
still-
announcement, so they won't invest.
I understand they don't believe it initially. Why don't they believe it after a year?
Because Trump has lost all credibility in negotiating with
I don't think where does your evidence make this distinction about time?
In the card.
Yeah, where?
I'm not gonna read you a line. That's a bad way to conduct crime sticks.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about the circumvention card that you read. I put up the conclusion of the article. It says, if the president decides to use his AIPA authority, little would stand in the way. AIPA permits the president to take dramatic action with minimal oversight by Congress and the courts. He has stopped using AIPA to respond to Chinese behavior now due to current ability. If the president relies on AIPA, there is no guarantee this will hold.
Yeah, but you ignore the part of the card that we read that says you won't use AIPA.
That's
you're just like AIPA.
This is the
You're just like,
conclusion.
yeah, no, I know. You're just like AIPA bad, which is what that card says. Part of the card that we read was like, yeah, it doesn't really matter because you won't use it. There's too many just like.
Well, it says he won't use it because he can rely on tariffs. The plan prevents him from relying on tariffs.
No, there's too many legal challenges for him to go through if he wants to use his AIPA.
What is the legal challenge?
I don't know. The legal card talks about it, and like there would be like court challenges and stuff like that.
Well,
just
the
as like Trump is not willing to go through the long slog of
The last line says, with minimal oversight by the courts. Of the article, that's the last line. What is the court challenge?
I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see.
Move it back up. Trump will decide against using AIPA. There are three primary factors that play a role.
So,
First,
no, it says,
the
why
CFI
did
in the
Trump-
U.S. exists as an
Wait, wait, wait.
administrable structure. Significant hurdles would have to be overcome to create new rules
You're
through
reading
AIPA.
the card. What is the legal challenge?
Well, I guess I was wrong about legal challenges, but there's all this other stuff.
What is the other stuff? This is going to take out your app, buddy.
First, the CFI in the U.S. exists as an administrable structure. Significant hurdles
Trump
would
is
have
in
to be
charge of
overcome to
cities.
create new rules through AIPA.
Okay.
Also, like,
You're gonna lose this. We'll take breaths.
Yeah, we had 9 right now. This, you're kicking this, you have to answer.
Yeah, you got it.
Hey, so here, what was the card that said you have an internal link to Ag on the Farm Bill, or was that just?
Yeah, no, that card is, what is it? Let me pull up the TBC. It should be the last card in the doc.
Is it the last card in the doc? I have no tariffs pound. Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, reasonable. Okay. That is an argument. Clarification about the plan, do you get rid of current tariffs?
Yeah, they probably would because they would go back and retroactively get rid of them.
What's the impact of this flip-flop song to this?
Just like the econ stuff.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Okay, good. 505. Everyone's got it up in order. Actually, 5. Did you say USR comments or bad?
Yeah.
Okay. 3. Okay. Order is the executive counter plan, then the court's counter plan, the farm bill EA, the China advantage, the trade advantage. Everyone good? Yep. Okay. The counterplan definitively solves the case. You should view all their songs and efforts as a part of the counterplan that rescinds all existing tariffs that are on the books and sufficient to solve any of their credibility-based arguments. They can obviously go for the flip-flop argument and answer that, but every single one of their arguments about tariff authority still being on the books and the fact that there could be a future threat should be filtered through this part of the counterplan. Permutation of both. It doesn't shield the link or links by Republicans constraining Trump's executive authority. The counterplan in the word of the perm looks like Trump attempting to save face after Congress restricted the authority. Republicans will still get credit for restricting Trump and to be seen as more credible. You should fall to the specificity or link will read cards about Romney, Clinton voters that are highly intelligent. They care about the minutiae of policy details. These voters are the ones who matter. For the midterm, they perceive the permutations of Congress concerning the executive. You should view this as a sliding scale, even if the perm changes the link a little bit. The magnitude of the link ensures that the Republicans keep the House. Trump fights the plan and the perm. He's paranoid. Garner, 17 Trump embodies only I can fix it. Trump's living in a paranoid zero. Some worlds divided into winners and losers. The worst thing Trump can say is that they are winning. Fight like hell. Let's fight like hell there. Must consider assert that he's more powerful than every respect. Trump is also paranoid. Those who are standing in his way are like really bad, relentlessly trying to destroy him. When someone attacks me, I always attack back 100x more. That's always important to always win. Permanent the counterplans obviously severance. I'll read cheat cards if they try to read cheat cards in. The money or the plan is obviously either Congress or the courts. The certainty based solves the deficits again. Filter that through the part of the counterplan that gets rid of existing tariffs that are on the book. The next argument is this argument about Trump negotiating, failing the status quo. Zero part of the act can be about Trump negotiating credibility. The act does not solve anything about Trump negotiating ability, nor do I think any part of their advantage is about him literally factoring in and creating a new form of carry. They can't fiat that Trump is good at negotiating, so this doesn't matter. Conditionality is good. The ace point is our counterprediction. We get what we did. A, logic, proving the counterplan's bad as proof the plan is the spirit of the status quo. Decision maker always has the right to do nothing. Their interpretation, illogical model, off-cost, B, illogical flexibility box, the necessary test on the left and the right. That's going to be common advocates, force and negative, pick a middle ground in response to both ends of the ideological spectrum. C, neg, flex are 5 full topics, one related to the other. No unifying neg ground, mean opposites to compensate. D, no impact to our collapsing checks. Terms of worst, B, difference, D's and T, skew words. Either term doesn't solve our offense and prevents a reversion to the status quo and learning how to advocate the middle ground. Don't vote in theory or rough on norm center. And you have some bad career disclosures key to topic education, which is necessary for in-depth strategy, which is better for topic education about the topic. They should disclose a plan for the round that solves all of their offense. The next argument is this trust-based argument. I'm going to read a ton of cards on this. First, can't trust Trump arguments are silly. Statistical analysis proves that Congress and the executive perceive the same, even if the policy is favorable. We're going to cheat. In 18, it's really important. The important question is whether foreign reaction to Trump's policy
policy are influenced by the speaker? Would foreign citizens respond differently when the exact same policy statement is made by someone else? The result of a statistical analysis suggests that the policy content as large as the fact that Trump has no statistically discernible effect when policy content is cooperative. The Trump attribution effect is much larger when policy message is hostile. Foreign citizens rely on policy information even if they win an argument about Trump. The counterpoint is able to resolve everything. Those cards, reputational cost for real. 7, Julie Ronaldo, executive role over Biden's executive new status quo would create inertia and political trade that would affect his future choices. An executive order legal binds the president may be enforced by the courts. Self-binding order can trigger reputational cost in the appeal. May be seen as a breach of faith that solves a credible signal. So love call I9. Executive orders can send a stronger signal more globally than legislation or either court action of the president. Looked in deep symbolic meaning. The presidential action brings to the enhanced level of effectiveness. The president meets with foreign leaders more frequently, meaning that their actions are more likely to influence their global-based agenda. Their piece of evidence simply says that in the status quo based on Trump's past actions on tariffs, it's not credible. Again, the argument I made about removing existing tariffs should solve all these arguments. The secrets leaks argument doesn't make. They need to read a carbon. The secrets leak argument. I'll keep this frank. If they do read a carbon, but that part of the counterpoint is sufficient to resolve the perception of to resolve whether or not Trump would actually do the tariffs, because he has to actually consult with Congress. That means that if they win all of their arguments about Congress being super pro free trade, then he would not be able to do the tariffs. They think about it. They say that ESR fails. This piece of evidence is actually a net card. It says that the reason that all this stuff is happening in the Senate was because of Trump's use of that tariff authority. They say zero rate hikes would be bad. There is no evidence for this claim. We'll kick that plank if they go for this argument. The flip-flop argument, who cares? It's all about his pro-business stance, which is what their internal link evidence is about. The ESR theory is good. Topic education, internal trade improvement matches the academic debates. And in SR 13, the limitation of the executive checks of the Congress and the courts have led to increase academic interest and checks between the executive branch and internal mechanisms of comparatively advantage. Those mechanisms operate ex ante continuously. Core functional limit. ESR is a topic group by the framers, including central and digital. The topic artificially recognized coordinate ground roots, fairness, neg, flex always after. We get free first, last use permutation, after innovation. The counterpoint pushes afterwards. Bigger cases with Congress, keyboards and better. Neg, ground, no impact after. Other Congress key advantages. They could have read them, reject the argument of the team. Judge takes heed logic. Policymakers can always refer to the status quo. The court's counterpoint concedes the permutation justice competition. The Canada add-on is absolutely trash-tastic. One is they have no reverse causal evidence that the NORAD goes down the drain. Here's evidence that says the exact opposite. In 17, the DHS remains engaged in multilateral institutions arrangement that ensures maritime security. The U.S. Navy led an international effort with Canada to deploy buoys in the Arctic Ocean. The USA have led the security tour with DoD. General's Operation Hooligan made short stops at the Canadian Forces Station alert. The Arctic has also taken a larger role over the last decade. The U.S.-Canada defense relations. Both neighbors continue to engage on the modernization of some elements of NORAD. Officials in Ottawa and Washington are collaborating to renew the NWS. Obviously, tariffs don't destroy all of U.S.-Canada relations, proving the fact that NORAD still is on the books after tariffs and Trump making fun of Trudeau. Literally, they don't have internal link to cyber conflict anyway. The part that cyber attacks are likely, nor that NORAD is able to solve in the status quo, which is necessary for them to have an actual add-on. The Foreign Bill argument can see that the Foreign Bill is lies or whatever that Carl was talking about there. We solve food evidence is absolutely terrible. One, they don't get to fiat that they solve for current tariffs that are on the books, because that's like the reading of the plain text is about future tariffs and that authority. None of that means that the past tariffs are something that the Congress has authority of in the world of the planet. They also don't. This piece of evidence does not say that it destroys U.S. agriculture. It says it might harm some level of investment into them. It's not sufficient to access ag collapse impact, which is what our evidence was written about. The China advantage at the top. Four arguments sort of take out this advantage. One, rate hikes are inevitable because the economy is booming. That's a COSAR evidence. Internal link to their Gulf argument is about their internal link is about rate hikes, and all cause because rates are key. They've tagged their card to say the trade policy is key. It says that China might sell off bonds in retaliation to the trade war. The plan does not solve that because those tariffs are still on the books. Two, port tariffs are inevitable. The reason that port tariffs happen were because of the ZTA dispute, which is something that the plan cannot alter. Also, their evidence is from February. We read evidence in July that says that they're escalating the status quo and they're harming and resulting whatever their pork internal link thing was about. Three, the plan solves none of the advantage generally because unpredictability regarding past tariffs are still in the book that matter for China. This bond sell-off scenario because the sell-off is because of the past trade war with China. China tariffs still exist. Ditto for the other scenario. They need to win, but China actually changed their trade policy in response to that. Four, the Middle East scenario assumes a massive total rate hike that is totally modeled. Zero cards say that it will actually happen. It says that they might model changes that are made by the United States Fed if they're correct about their argument that they would have an economically devastating effect. The Middle Eastern countries are not so stupid that we would model these things. The China stuff, they're saying that because our evidence says the econ independence, that means that they solve the internal link to it. No, their argument was entirely about port tariffs. Obviously, they have an economic incentive not to go to conflict with the United States. That is something that the plan does not circumvent, nor the scenario assume. The CCP knows that war collapse the regime. They would never do it. 2013, they're powerful, countervailing forces that mitigate the likelihood of all conflict, those including interdependence of the economies in China's history that show that external conflict led to internal revolution across the rules. Fear any decision to engage in the conflict with the United States would lead to the downfall of the communist regime. Trade. Circumvention of will be the one and are the is no impact to trade. Our evidence is absolutely fantastic. It indicates that during times of decreased trade that it actually results in increased cooperation, which is the best statistical analysis used in econometric modeling, where their evidence is simply assertive on this question. Trade is relevant for barbarian 13 hours independence, effect war, empirical results, right support for those arguing economic factors have little if any influence on the decision and engage more uncertainty price, little empirical support for the proposition that trade runs a path to peace even after controlling for the continuity of democracy, alliances and capabilities. Evidence suggests that in most instances fail so be sure conflict and interdependence appears to have little influence on the propensity to conflict, the econ stuff. There's no impact economic decline, statistical analysis over 109 rival data, found decline does not cause conflict. That's our clear evidence. No Trump warrant reason. 17 economists exaggerate the political projections if you can find any correlation between tensions and econ. The Trump will not go for words of action for various reasons, such as the inertia built into the SOP or expectation that advisors will take the cues from established US positions. There's no internal link to either of their scenarios. First, the trade impact tax cuts in the the econ internally. The tax cuts were much bigger. Tax cuts in the 2014 Brecken were a much larger impact on trade and the economy. Their investment card does not say that it would actually have a large impact. It says it's all speculative. It says it could have a large impact. The fact that there's not been a recession in the last few months proves that this is not true. Their internal evidence also a quote from Jeff Flake that doesn't quantify the impact. It's obviously just political posturing. I'm going to finish that card. Chinese retaliation push on the price of agriculture pricing is bad news for American farmers, but probably good news for a number of large Americans who eat food. It's not going to be that big of a deal, at least for now. The economy based internal link. Their internal link evidence is that it could have a big effect. Not that it actually would. Tariffs don't do the economy. In 18, Trump's administration tariffs are not large enough to hurt the U.S. economy. Farmers would see a hit of 6.7%. Is vastly offset by the fiscal stimulus that are taking effect right now. They're going to be impacted. I think it hurts our trading firm more than it hurts us in general. I don't think it will have a big impact on the U.S. economy except on the farm bill. Economic effect should be modest. Total amount of trade was affected. It's still fairly modest, around $50 billion. The White House follows through with all the tariffs that is proposed. $475 billion in goods would be affected.
I had 10 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. You good? Yeah. So the counterplan text says the executive branch will issue an executive order that it will engage in secret consultation on tariffs with Congress. If they publish it and issue it, how is it a secret?
That's a separate plank.
What?
That was the fifth plank. Do you understand how grammar works, dude?
That's not how grammar works. There's one part of the sentence.
Yeah, you're right. We go to counterpoint text really quickly. We'll amend it during the morning hour, if that's going to be your argument. You're right that they will publish an executive order. The consultation happens secretly.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, go for it.
Absurd.
It's not absurd. It's a new app. Obviously,
So-
we have to write a grammatical
okay, so-
statement or a counterpoint text. We're not writing on the fly.
The announced that it will refrain from utilizing tariff authority. So what exactly does Trump say to countries like China and businesses in the United States? Does he just say to them, I will not use my
First,
tariff
he
authority?
revokes the tariffs that he has done, which is how you should filter the way that countries and businesses would read into Trump announcing that. Second, the announcement happens. You do something like a Rose Garden speech, which would announce the policy of the United States, and that would be sufficient to resolve that.
So he just gives a speech, but what happens to is that business leaders would trust that speech.
You don't have a card that says that business leaders in the world that for sending tariffs and then announcing it would not trust it. Like if you're going to make it like you have to have a card that says
Well,
the
so
exact counter,
let's-
that's not that burden either.
Yeah,
It's all
so let's talk about this like scenario. Let's say Trump will rescind all of his tariffs, and then he says that I will no longer use
Utilize
further tariffs like in the Rose Garden. But
Yeah.
why would China just think that he's just sort of like gearing up for? Look, what happens when Trump
Because
goes
he
to
rescinded the existing
what happens when
tariffs. He's doing something
Trump,
that
what happens when
is
Trump goes to like a
wrong.
rally in Pennsylvania and is like big tariffs coming soon?
Because Trump always has a bunch of dumb shit. They view the way that he acts as the way that they do business decisions. Like
The way
China
that he
would
acts
say
is the way he does business decisions, right?
Yes. You need to read a card that says that they're listening to every single dumb thing he says at a rally, and they base their decisions around that. 'Cause obviously,
Well,
they
so
don't.
like business leaders and people who are investing like billions of dollars into the trade relationship between the United States and China are obviously paying some amount of attention to the things he's saying about tariffs
The
because it's a
executive
lot of money that they're
is
putting on
much
the
more
line.
visible and larger. Secondly,
Why is that
rescinds the other tariff because it's the policy of the United States. Trump always has contradictory shit. If you're right that every time he flip flops, there's an economic impact, there should be like 8 recessions by now. Just like.
What were the cards that you read for the like ESR is credible stuff? 'Cause a lot more about
Yeah, the first card, the Vermeil card, the Sobukal card. So I think it would be the first card doesn't have a number next to it, Vermeil, which is number 3, and Sobukal number 5.
So your mule card is just like an executive order could bind the executive unless and until it is validly abrogated, thereby establishing
Yes.
a new legal status quo. Why would Trump abrogate the executive order?
Because it's durable. That was part of the context.
Well,
He abides by
no,
it.
it's not. But
It is.
Yeah,
Abides by
it
the
says,
executive order.
but it says
It's
that executive orders are binding, which proves it doesn't matter if it's in the counter context unless it's validly abrogated, which is what Trump would do.
He doesn't, because we fiat he doesn't.
Second.
process. You don't need to invent that.
3 seconds before anyway.
Good check.
It's which page is circumvention on?
Trade.
Okay, it'll be the trade page, the tariffs good position, the state secrets DA, midterms.
Trade, and then what after
The tariffs good position,
that? Okay.
state secrets, the midterms.
Quick question for y'all. I put circumvention on my flow, but I don't know if you can put it at the bottom because we're doing it here pretty much every site. What happened?
I'm writing it down because I said at the top. I left the room.
Okay, I'll do that at the top. Yeah.
You whatever.
What?
I don't care about anything, you just.
Yeah.
That's good.
Does everyone have it up?
Oh, 1 second. Yeah, this is
You signed it,
I'm sorry, were you?
Oh, I'm not on internet.
It's here from the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 second, maybe back on the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi. Yeah, okay, I'm good.
Everyone good?
IPA takes out the whole app. Their evidence goes negative. It says Trump chose not to use IPA because it's a little bit harder than tariffs, but it definitively concludes he's willing and able to use in Table 18. IPA does not require congressional review nor Civi's review process, simply requires the president to declare a national emergency, would be reasonably straightforward. IPA permits much broader action, including blanket and bans on certain sectors of Trump's investment, broad investment bans are likely to strike China hard downsides if IPA used Trump at least temporarily decide against using IPA implications. Since the Trump administration defines strategic competition and national security concerns, it's logical that it would seem to use IPA's broad authority to respond to Chinese interest in aggression that would cause seismic disruption in markets for now external forces. Presenting the president relying on existing measures, there is no guarantee that this will hold up the president's substitute his IPA authority that will stand in his way. IPA permits the president to take dramatic action with minimal oversight by Congress, where the court's the only legal challenge reference to the piece of evidence that NDE and DD IPA doesn't violate its SCOTUS president approves this car in file in the context of IPA, which Supreme Court had held a Congress delegation of the president of civil authority to nullify certain attachments to transfer of assets to foreign circuit. Also noted the presence of two additional factors where Congress has granted authority to the president of IPA, the president's power to make determinations regarding foreign policy and the congressional authorization accepted to the president's tariffs.
Tariffs good. You can see that China loses advantage to this on case state secrets. You can see no internal link trade talk will be answered on midterms. Cool. Repeal the ACA creates vulnerability to disease and bioterror attacks. There's no intervention or intervening actions for those, which means it necessarily escalates the extinction time frame. The midterms are happening soon, and January is coming around the corner. ACA repeal turns growth QL and 70 repeal key parts trigger economic distress $2.6 million to repeal last states finally shoot bombs $1.9 trillion business Africa to by $2.6 trillion also be widespread affecting every state and sector of their economy. A prolonged period of uncertainty would be harmful in and of itself, leading delays in investment plan decision could be economic downturns. Jonathan says the economy causes trade fights, which means this turns the whole half the trade up, or it's not one. The Republicans said stuff against Trump, but the fact that they didn't pass bills proves our argument that they don't have anything to run on. They need legislative achievement. GE and 18 Jewish Republicans might be able to get into the substantial legislative achievements offered voters. 2018 will be rough for Trump that gives GOP and Congress and reasons to spend 22 standing up to the president and said if they step in their response, show themselves to be stewards of public trust. Some Republicans matter out of the Democratic debates. Republicans can't change Trump, but they can change his reaction. Their reaction to him. Later issues matter more. Meredith and Love, the recently each candidate had about 10% points of support between when VP and Baltimore Miller was active from the race and 0 after the exit. Estimates against the supporters would have voted differently. They had not been using EP balance discussion that convenience so to get important effects on general election outcomes that the voters are now tuning in. Conan on 13, most voters are starting to tune in. Dynamics might shift from Conan and Compass to signs of weakness. Democrats can take the House if they win. Half of the ACA is universal white guys, and 18 of the ACA were invalidated. The number of universe uninsured people increased to 51.3 million, increased to 50% increase in insurance among low-income population. Allowed the ACA Medicaid enrollment dropped by 15.1 million. The uninsured increased by 72.1 million. Those are the places where biotax will happen. When you go certain for, then it's also that early detection comes important surveillance relies on a report to healthcare persons with symptoms arriving patients' office patients that have access to underinsured advocate care and now they recognize as Paul, who's an agent to a community with a high rate of insurance might be devastating effect of starting an outbreak in a community to reduce detection and raise odds of broad spread. They say no repeal their evidence about campaigning, not what they'll do. They're obviously lying. The making evidence says post-midterm political environment will be more conservative. The reason they failed last time is the Senate. They'll gain there and Kyle replaced McCain Ford. In 18, Ducey announced that he'll plan Kyle to succeed McCain. Kyle was the first one of the ACA. Kyle was really supposed to Japan. Kyle boasted that we're trying to slow down Obama's healthcare legislation, bioterror, no burnout. First, Department of Evidence indicates the U.S. unique super spreader and long-range connections, making it impossible for diseases to burn out. Yes, bioterror capability and motive ISIS will do it. Method 16.
Terrorist group must constantly seek new forms to attack the innovation causes great concern by terrorism as long as they want to get into the game as a group of terrorists become even more determined to amplify our war for the object from 2014 Canada. Document on how to weaponize like as my final way to use modern development audio scientists access to remnants of the biological war for promoting new generation weapons safer to handle, easier to distribute, much lighter vanilla. As demonstrated interest is clearly looking, but the U.S. remains unprepared. The make your free argument. There's no evidence for this. Then regardless, the internal link says quick surveillance is key to commitment. They distribute care too late after the disease super spreads. The GOP win. The Stewart evidence is much better. Use generic balloting as well as longitudinal polls to say there's a marginal lead now, but it's close to Scott evidence is about the base. That's not key. That'll be later. It definitely doesn't say the GOP will win anywhere. The Nate Silver votes negative. Silver in 1028. I'll insert this chart prefer. Nate's prediction. Silver in 18. 2018 House uses a lot of data for all 435 district ballots. Too few stones unturned. Research everything from district ballots to interest voting takes a lot of polls. Performs adjustments with other useful indicators. House uses are formula localized. It's reflected in the design of the model. They say hacking DHS funding solves this key for inductions happening. Johnson liberal election infrastructure, critical infrastructure. This will allow funding to protect tabulation, registration, database, and missions to protect the administrators, boosting the preparedness and possible international funding. Department of Defense and cyber mission teams are ready to be deployed. The agency working on outside to counter Russia and its own capabilities. Their evidence says no votes switching. Regardless, states are switching to paper. By C. In 2019, there's no evidence of votes being changed after ballots for no longer use touchscreen machine states. Now paper backup of a mandated paper version of the counter, not altered Rhode Island is. To vote on measures that require an audit after each election to ensure the integrity of the election. The link to Brown seems phenomenal. They really care about restrictions. It's the independents that are key to the midterms. You should. It's a life. The trade argument. This just says voters don't know a lot about trade. They don't know and need to know about CAFTA to win that restrictions are popular. The area that they're in is irrelevant. It's a question of whether there's a check on Trump. The plan makes it salient anyways because it's the only legislation before the midterm which ensures constant media coverage. No evidence of the base is pissed off by the plan. They haven't read a link to the link to it. They don't get one in the 1 hour. The base will inevitably stick with them until we're in 17. Discouragement over ideological flexibility, fidelity of reps could reduce turnout, but there are four key reasons that base voters might say in line partisan voting is Trump makes it durable party identification because anything the party does basing it on their hands in election frames is a confident the resistance to Trump-based activists are long game. Trump promises on court is a really big deal and motivating state conservatives with their cries, keeping the Republican majority. That determination should last. Romney Clinton voters are more key also in 18. It's a voter slip between parties at the base in the Wiltshires longitudinal survey report acting on small groups of vital poor Romney Clinton voters are shooting place in most of the target House races. Romney Clinton voters, highly educated modern voters who disapprove of Donald Trump and Democrats simply cannot retake the House. To get a lot of these voters sick of them, hold on, because some of these gains that are Republicans in office will loss and minimize Democratic gains. The Browns evidence also says that basically key healthcare doesn't motivate turnout. Here in 17 Democrats treat healthcare as a secondary concern. Their profound shortage of awareness phone calls is not sufficient. It's been hard to sustain outrage marches on healthcare officials. It's not key to the end of conservatives and independents, specifically Kurt Slavin and Lord Indeed. Both parties claim victories, but healthcare is clearly more motivating for one side. 30% of Democratic voters say healthcare is most important. Only half of the Republicans say healthcare is as important. The link is huge. Flake hammer nation among voters. Mr. Trump's reinforced the concept of any midterm election, but especially this one, Americans tend to prefer constraints on the party and power. Voters are like more like this board of congressional candidate promises to serve as a check on Mr. Trump by 25% margin before Brownstein. Mr. 118 Brownstein is one of the best analysts in politics.
Mark it out, one of the best analysts in politics.
Y'all set?
Yeah, I got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, yeah, if I
keep going. I'll take that.
So we have an hour left. Letting y'all know. What's the order?
Trade. China. Farmland. ESR.
Take a second. Just okay, pause. 5 seconds, please.
we have a little more 50 seconds.
Okay. Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Not sure whether this will line up about IEP, it's irrelevant or plans off any trade barrier without approval from Congress. There's able evidence that currently the IEP has minimal oversight, it doesn't suit the plan, and they also said there are too many logistical challenges, and there would be lawsuits from the steel industry, which would block any clear evidence using the cool periodic analysis doesn't do this time series, and it doesn't account for Trump's psychological barrier, which means he's likely to lash out because his nuclear escalation on some summers evidence trade wars escalate. They can't figure out because the integrated supply chains and they cause multiple hospital escalation, which Phillips the ability to solve disease because it undermines international cooperation. We have large returns only to the economy. There are evidence that it's a short-term bump in productivity because companies have shifted around their asset, which indicates there's going to be a long-term decline if the trade war's not solved. There's $1 trillion impact, which means it overwhelms the China stuff. The rate hikes are irrelevant because everything is baked into the status quo because people know the schedule of the Federal Reserve, but the China dumping bonds they have no internal link to, which means the lost economy for tariffs now prove that there's no break to activate them off of it, which means we solve that China does not have the model, but they resolve tensions, which means we resolve the tariffs. Yes, there is a massive hike, and it's tied to the Middle East because of the petrodollar, which goes nuclear. That's the one. See evidence because Saudis get a regional instability, no defense, CCP clause, goes nuclear. Their evidence from 2013 doesn't assume the transition, which creates the national pressures for China to escalate the farm bill. Stop one, the advocates to clarify what the plan takes means. Here did that in cross-section, they didn't have established any standards. Anything else feels predictability. They said arbitrary big. Second is that we still solve it. We don't do previous tariffs because future tariffs will get worse. And it's all about the negotiating credibility and the authority of the president. Now, the ESR stuff, they didn't amend the plan like they said they would in the 1 hour, which means that the secret stuff is published, which creates a bunch of uncertainty and they're not able to solve. Second, you should reject some efficiency framing the magnitude of the Sultan's evidence of global economic crisis, which outweighs the small risk of a dissent. Now, the rescinding tariffs make Trump's look like an ingenuine broker trading partners and businesses only trust Congress because it's cognitively consistent with them because they think that Trump is not going to be effective on trade. They don't make multi-billion-dollar investments based off of his tweets, which means that they would only trust Congress setting up firms, shields, and that benefit. One, dividing the other CP means that Trump would not fight Congress, and it looks like the policy is in sync, and midterm voters are intelligence, so they wouldn't see that. Or two, he fights a counterplan because he's seen as people inside the administration pushing him, and he's just paranoid. You can't just make the counterplan because it's by 2-hour time allocation. Now, it doesn't solve any of the uncertainties of ace-appointed authorities that came internally, even if the external businesses don't know that, and delegate power remains in the executive, which creates potential for abuse of structure that depresses economic investment. That's Anderson and Boomer B. Congress is key, draws a credible red line, and takes a punch out of Trump's rhetoric. That's minor C. Any degree of uncertainty outweighs the net benefit. Businesses plan 5 years in advance, make large sum cost purchases, and ambiguity means investment. This U.S. bullshit on Trump, proceeds self-training. It's not credible voter. It's not as anything. They can train for more policy or visible president for training themselves. Trump is voting, training unavailable on. They cannot be reconstituted the U.S. They were trained offered by Congress and the root cause of the RMC. So what else will still take one advantage of the U.S. president go off to the analyst. This is not training president. They're living with the conflict for a long time. He doesn't know enough about training on. The Trump is consistent on one issue. That's training police transfer. Someone training applies that the U.S. taking advantage of police, other nation more power. Or because English should go from a bunch of nothing about the period of what did for at least now research constitutional authority. Regular Congress they can't solve China because it's about the credibility of the U.S. negotiating position. It's not Trump negotiating. It's about Congress stepping up. And because Trump's already lost face, it flips it. TS-19 trade calls Senator Trump has cash matching back and forth for the president treated the authorizing government affairs for reasons like the number total tax. The Trump approach to zero policy. Also, in like retaliation, new asset that was topical and it's key to innovation. Anything else in terms the sandbagging, the trust stuff. Farachi is about for citizens, not governments, which means it doesn't lead to negotiations. Reputational costs don't apply to Trump because he only cares about his base, and it's not a credible signal. There's so-called evidence from 2009 that says Trump future presidents could overturn secret slang makes the CP less credible because adversarial enemies consulting leads in still oil negotiations. It's not a negative part about delegated trade authority. What's up?
The not doing rate hike stuff obviously links to the
not doing rate hikes is conceded. It links to the econ stuff because it means the Fed doesn't have the ability to implement flexible foreign policy, fiscal policy. Now, the midterm stuff absolutely no scenario for healthcare because it will be made free. The pandemic quarantines by burnout means that burnout can check it because the disease have a trade-off between virulence and how far it can spread. It can spread 50 million people who are still uninsured, and it is not going to be made universal under a Republican president. There's no impact by Office of Lawyer 10. The patent to be spread years below 99% microorganisms died or legislation effectiveness can be reduced over the best law. It's like one made temperature change that can counter the defense measure normal simplification, even if the discourse would be easily short of unfavorable meteorological conditions. It doesn't turn the growth advantage AC growth advantage AC is just a drop in the bucket, and the failure to pass repeal and replace means it's not going to get deck now. They drop for every card that says that Trump would refuse to defend it in court and pass repeal and replace. No, that means they won't be able to get it. Next, now the thumper, they messed it up. The only evidence is that they have passed legislation in which answers are only war, which nothing has happened. The Russia sanctions South, or refusing to withdraw troops from South Korea, NATO, etc. If they're right that these independent voters are so smart, then they'll understand and vote based on these past evidence. The EMF evidence is from January, which is too old. The late issues do matter. They're merited evidence. It's not about swing voters. GP wins now because even the devils, their evidence is assuming. Now, the hacking the trade is not key to the election. Even if Trump talks about it, voters don't know the intricacies of authority. Most people think the representatives' opinion are the opposite of what they actually. That's the booster evidence. You won't switch any votes from all the intent of Americans trade policy. Trump. There's an mechanism that the voter Trump. The voters which part of vigilation trade policies. 90% of Republicans are in favor of Democrats. Our votes is not just about authority. It makes no sense. The plan for which Trump's authority to block immigration would obviously be seen as different from his ability to vote the law in the context matters and as a tight race ignoring Trump makes the local Washington Post and Canada that mechanism that going around the Trump operation trying to struggling with the rebellion to come to Trump House candidate for attacking Democrats. Mark that Democrats will hack election. Another evidence about perception, which means the swings turn out because people not going to go to the polls because they don't think they're going to get counted. That's something you're tolerating. That below the city target one thing that means all the machines will just a few hours after work when using official laws when now the voters and serious voters who may rush on the movement on to ensure the re-election will not be low to the limiting tactic that they feel discouraged in terms of air mechanism helps that and then 26 on many machines the official in the Senate so it's going to affect races while the voters use transmit the votes until election night asking something attack or no those election odds we simply do not know someone's altered someone's altered the votes people won't be because the only thing that will be the machine trackers will have electric voting machines asking a lot of guns and those election database tabulation machines easily manipulated elections false by limiting voter data regulation healthcare thumbs that are evidence of more recent statistics affecting midterm services from January and March which obviously doesn't assume that premium high secret and 7 2 weeks before election agreements will be released the double rate increases even worse than anyway here subsidies affect which long-term premiums even higher premiums and later long-term premiums with their private premiums are really proud of potential increase in increases in healthcare will be the nomination voters in November just as the long-term premium rate hikes were released before the election and cause voters and your regional heights.
Can we get a more version of the parts that we read? Yeah.
them sitting here.
Yeah.
Then somebody else will get it. Yeah, sad.
Give it away.
No, I don't. I literally just said, it says so.
Okay. Okay, 457.
457.
Yeah.
Sorry.
terms, executive, farm bill, where was Circuit mentioned? Was it in China?
Yeah.
China,
Trade.
oh, trade, and then China.
Did you send out those ones?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying right now.
I think the bottom.
This bottom one's not
Yeah.
taken, you know?
That back one?
The back, yeah, the
Yeah, that back one is broken.
Good enough. I know.
Okay, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Hey, I didn't say it was a bad thing.
Okay.
You know, we were debating for a process.
We discussed it in there.
Is he good?
That's you. It's that question.
Okay. Everyone is good? Yeah.
I don't know if it's hard.
Yeah, the meeting, it's a little bit of a-
So here's computers and
Here we go.
Alright. Okay. We're
Yeah.
get your cards up.
We're good.
Okay, cool.
Leaders of these Turkish bioterror caused extinction attacks. The bioterrorists would attack vulnerable communities, which necessarily constitute as the analysis of the current new things like CRISPR technology mean that it's really easy to create a pathogen that would mutate extremely fast and overcomes burden cause extinction. Our scenario is much more probable than theirs. Mutual destruction is an economic interdependence. The reason why China and the US would never go to conflict in the Middle East would never go to war because those leaders are all rational at the top, whereas a bioterrorist group would has the first incentive to cause escalation, drive it turns a whole case. They really didn't have a good answer to coup other than the word drop in the bucket. Does not assume the econometric study and the fantastic modeling of the coup evidence has said that it has a ripple effect throughout the entire economy. It would go through every sector of the economy, cause economic decline that turns every single one of their scenarios because all of them are really about the global economy. Broadly line on the first argument is the free drugs argument. This argument makes no sense. We require to say that there are vulnerable communities. We can't get those drugs to them in time, and it would be too late by the time that we realize it's a pandemic. It mutates really quickly. It gets around. This is analytic. It's all bullshit. You should prefer our 1C internal link evidence to say no impact because of burnout or mass evidence, and the 1C says that things like CRISPR technology makes it really easy to get around burnout. Or 1C piece of evidence says that because the US is a unique super spreader, burnout doesn't happen quickly enough. Their Mueller piece of evidence is simply too old. It doesn't assume the new forms of engineered pathogens that are just in sense code. They said that we dropped doesn't defend in the court. They didn't fucking read a card about not defending it in the court. The thumper-based argument, the first argument is the late issues matter more argument. All our unique evidence is priced in these thumpers. They were like from 2007. Our Meredith evidence says that an analysis of voting by mail versus voting in person analysis because the later issue mattered because of heuristic bias. The last thing that voters remember about two is that no one has campaigned on these things, which proves that there's no one has campaigned on these things in the sense code, which means that it's not credible enough in the thing in the Russia sanctions did not happen.
Legislation did not pass.
Legislation actually did not pass, which all of our link arguments are. They say, do you think win now? This was a blip in the 1ER. Our evidence says there's a 6 out of 7 chance that ASMR is the best economic modeling. Their evidence just says that because base turnout might happen, that might do a thing. Our evidence is all about Romney Clinton voters. A super dope piece of evidence is that the Romney Clinton voters are key because they live in the swing districts that will decide the races. They trade is not key. All their evidence says that trade might not motivate some voters, but the thing that is motivating voters is Trump. That's the issue for the voters that are specifically key. They drop the Olsen piece of evidence says Romney Clinton voters are key. Those people also love trade because a bunch of rich Republican or Brownstein evidence and the men piece of Olsen evidence and the Flegenheimer evidence all make the argument that checks on Trump are the key voting issues and analysis of polling on that issue. And their evidence simply does not speak to that level. Their argument about not running on it in the status quo does not make any sense because they have not checked Trump in the status quo. There's obviously no way they can credibly campaign on being anti-Trump, but obviously as the election gets closer and that Trump is super unpopular, they would do it. The Russia hacks argument, they concede all the one in our evidence, so let them answer it in the two era. First, Kiefer says DHS threw $1 million into a dope cyber defense team to help respond. Second, none of their evidence assumes it was sufficient to repel any attacks. Second, is that paper ballots solved. They concede that states are switching now. Paper can't get hacked. The grid is irrelevant. Air gapping doesn't matter. Taylor's an opinion runner on matchable. No evidence. They can hack the grid. Status quo solves. Blair in 1,200 minutes are mitigated by increased detection and deterrent capability. Electrical grid is not enhanced by awareness. Public and private sector are working together 100% the effort to establish real cybersecurity. The healthcare argument. First argument was new in the 1 hour. The 2AC argument was that issue salience, not premium spikes. They drop both cards anyway. Here says healthcare does not motivate turnout because it's not flashing anywhere. Correspondent says swing voters don't really care. Second, they're wrong. Premium used to be small. Kojak in 9-3 consumers by source of the ACA. Market may pleasant smile as it falls at the average premium is much less than the price of will increase less than 4%. The news about the marketplace is very good in terms of the premium increase. The executive counterplan at the top. It solves the entirety of the case framing. It solves the deficits of the part of the counterplan which ends current tariffs. It proves that his words have meaning and his exo is legit. You should kick the parts of the counterplan that have the consultation and the rate hike. I'm not going for any of this argument. The permutation links in that benefit all our evidence. The Romney Clinton voters are highly educated. Second, they continue the piece of evidence that Trump fights the plan because he hates external, for the plan and the perm because he hates external checks on him. 3, Judge Hick was conceded the logic of conditionality is good. They just said 2 are time to use an envelope because some people are faster than other people, but judge the logic is important. Good that we take away from debate. This was some super developed. Don't let them go for any of their basic arguments. Now the arguments about signaling don't make any sense. To drop the Horiuchi Accord, which is the best piece of evidence on this. Best piece of evidence on this question. It makes the argument that it's about the action that matters, which is why you should filter everything by getting rid of all the existing tariffs that are on the books. So look, that's sufficient to solve all their internal link arguments. Their internal links to the first advantage are all about business decisions, which are resolved by that piece of evidence. They said that our evidence is only about citizens. Yes, those are the people who make the fucking business decision, which means that's sufficient to resolve the internal link. The Golden Dagger evidence does not speak to those people who are making business decisions how close is the necessary for them to have a solvency deficit. They say that Trump doesn't know about trade policy. It does not matter because we fiat that he does this stuff. They say China negotiating stuff. Look, China negotiating absolutely cannot be an advantage to the app because he inevitably feels he's a doofus who always say those things at the rallies or whatever their argument was about, which means that they can never result in a formal deal, but the perception of the counterplan should be sufficient to be good enough for business decisions and mean that there wouldn't be rate hikes or whatever their internal link arguments were about that. Now, the circumvention stuff on trade. They've massively uncovered circumvention, so assign near zero risk of a case. The plan only restricts Trump's tariff authority. Those want to see cross-checks again, instead use IEPA, which is sanction authority. Example definitely flips neg, not af. It says the statute gives Trump very broad powers to attack other countries, including blanket bans on certain sectors or types of investment. They can even connect IEPA to the one to see advantages. It says that sanctions would hit China, especially arbitrators, all their internal links. The one here spends 10 seconds here, so don't allow for new extrapolation. I'll answer everything. They say oversight solves. That only exists if Trump decides to go through the CFIUS review. At the top of the article, he says IEPA doesn't require that. Moreover, this does not prevent circumvention. Even if IEPA is a little bit harder than the sanctions process, he would still be willing to endure it. The world of the app because the evil says Trump really wants to be protecting this. It doesn't rise to the level of preventing him from using IEPA, which is necessary for the app to actually exist. They say legal challenges. A, Zabel says there could be legal challenges, but concludes that, quote, there would be minimal oversight by the court. B, it says that legal challenges which exceed if Trump massively stretches IEPA powers. They doesn't want to do that to trigger their advantage because it says the statute is already happening, which is so broad that was above. C, the only legal challenge referred by Zabel is the delegation of commercial trade power that conceded the one in our carbon. This is IEPA as a commercial delegation and provides sufficient guidance. Actually, come back to the ESR counterplan. We solve all their internal links. One, it solves the econ. Golshan says that's about anger and trade partners. The counterplan solves that. The solves trade. Zentner says he's boxing uncertainty. The counterplan ends uncertainty. It says, quote, threats are what's matter. The threats end in the word of the counterplan. It solves Middle East internal links about the trade war with China. The counterplan ends the trade war with China because it gets rid of all those tariffs. Finally, pork was also about the retaliatory tariffs. Those end in the world of the counterplan because we get rid of the tariffs that cause the retaliation in the first place.
We have
503.
Yeah, just include the links to the counterplan.
yeah.
trade advantage, the China advantage, ESR advantages. All right. Is everyone good? Yeah. Any risk of a solvency deficit definitionally outweighs any risk of the net benefit. Trump will escalate trade wars in the status quo and his escalatory rhetoric with trade partners such as China will make it impossible for businesses to be able to make decisions in the long term, which ensures that they result in a collapse of the global economy. The plan is sufficient to be able to resolve that because it ensures that Congress has an oversight mechanism over Trump's tariffs. That sends a signal to international partners and domestic partners alike that they will be able to invest in United States supply chains because they are reliable. They will not be backed up upon because of Trump's executive order has no credible long-term ability to be able to solve it. It would be seen as reversible and a flip-flop, which is the plan is the only mechanism to be able to solve that. Definitionally outweighs trade is the only mechanism to be able to solve it. Trade is a common data or autonomous evidence indicates a result in global nuclear escalation. The only thing preventing escalation in the status quo is mutually is economic interdependence between nations. Trade breaks that down, but the plan is the only mechanism to be able to solve what our foster evidence indicates Trump is uniquely likely to be able to escalate it and it results in flash up prices due to his unique psychological profile, which shows that we access a much larger impact. They've also considered the turns case argument that says that trade is necessary to disperse resources globally to be able to solve their bioterror as well as their disease impact, which is that we turn the dis but not vice versa. They miss the force through the trees on the circumvention argument. A, the plan eliminates tariffs and trade barriers. Any sanction that Trump would want to leverage would be dismissed by Congress because that qualifies as a trade barrier, i.e. as a congressionally delegated trade power, and they've read zero evidence to establish that a sanction is distinct from a trade barrier, which is a negative burden if they want to make a complete circumvention argument. So you can be 100% sure that the plan is effective. B, if there's greater than 50% chance that the plan is effective, then you should treat that as 100% of your decision calculus. The circumvention is a yes, no question. C, lawsuits and administrative hurdles block your example evidence that we both, for instance, that it's a cumbersome process and steel companies who sue, which box out Trump in court and determines them from even trying it in the first place. Trump has IEPA authority in the status quo, but he has decided not to be able to use it. Congress has made sort of explicit threats against his trade authority, but he has not done it. Even if the plan happens, he would not use that IEPA authority because our evidence indicates it's too much of a long slog, so he would not be able to do that. Even if he does do that, the plan is sufficient to be able to resolve the signal to global trade partners that says that our supply chains would be sufficient to be able to solve the China advantage. Any risk of it outweighs the risk of benefit because they've conceded it, and it's insulated from circumvention because the plan still looks like a credible check on the tariffs that are happening in the status quo. Sanctions do not matter to China. It's only about tariffs, which is their sort of key economic decision. Our evidence indicates results in pork and soybean prices, which collapses the CCP. That goes nuclear and makes it impossible to respond to things like disease and bioterror attack because it would be able to spread globally. And it's a risk of a nuclear war that outweighs the ESR counterplan. They conceded that flip-flops are bad. The counterplan is viewed as a massive water bad. Evidence indicates it looks like Trump is reversing his previous stance on trade, which ensures that investors have no confidence whatsoever in what they're going to be able to do. Our evidence clearly establishes that the companies that are making the business decisions as a result of the tariffs are making long-term decisions, i.e. they're worried about whether or not supply lines will be cut off in the immediate future. The counterplan makes Trump's foreign policy look incoherent because it eliminates all of his previous tariffs and then has him make a statement that says he won't do any in the future. Only Congress is sufficient to be able to solve that. Our evidence indicates that Trump does not have the knowledge to be able to sufficiently self-restrain. He will go to the base and just make a rally that says that I will do big tariffs against China in the status quo, which eviscerates negotiating credibility, and only the plan has a mechanism to be able to solve. China knows those tariffs would not come in a world of the plan because the plan is a credible congressional signal. They can't solve certainty. Even a 1% risk of uncertainty has 100% risk of our advantage. Businesses plan 5 years in advance. That's Davidson Goldsham. B, Trump's rhetoric. The counterplan can only be on the office of the president, but Trump can go to a campaign rally the next day's balance protection expenses. C, authority is the key internally. Businesses do not know that Theater's durable. Delegated power in the executive creates potential for abuse that's higher. Innocent Boomer. The framing that we have is specific evidence that quantifies our solvency deficits. They've only read the greatest hits of 2009 extra counterplan cards, which simply is not enough to answer the specificity of all of our evidence. Even if he gets rid of the old tariffs, it looks like it's fundamentally incoherent to all the business decisions that are impacted by tariffs, and China does not know what to believe, so they think he will redact the tariffs in order to prepare himself for implementing more tariffs in the future because his exo is not credible, and they consider the 4 times evidence that indicates his negotiating credibility with China is absolutely shot. The 2 hours is way too light on explaining why they solve any of our internally, so you should not do that. Or former argument evidence indicates that Trump's sole authority alone is the key question. Midterms. D, there's no risk of an impact to it. Our bioterror defense indicates that there's no risk of aerosolization. They can win their CRISPR war, but we can still win that there's no impact. You need to be super close to the people to be able to detonate attack, and no terrorist groups have the ability to get into the rural areas which their impact is isolated, which means that there's zero risk of this bioterror stuff, and is also insufficient to be able to spread. Our evidence indicates that there's a trade-off between violence and lethality, which means that it does not cause extinction, and mutually assured destruction, rationality do not check our impacts because it's predicated on an economic independence, which only the plan has a mechanism to be able to solve. The ACA does not turn our internal link to the economy. Their evidence only says 2.6 million jobs. They consider that trade is the key internal link to the global economy, which means that the plan is the only mechanism to be able to solve it, but we massively outweigh the impact of the disadvantage on magnitude because of nuclear winter, but bioterror attack will remain localized as per our Mueller
which answers all their arguments about why you would not spread in the status quo due to things such as CRISPR, which lowers the risk of the disadvantage. Now, the argument that they made on the thumbers is that no one campaigned on them and that legislation did not pass. One, they're factually wrong. Congress passed Russia sanctions at the beginning of Trump's term. Second is they passed a bill that says that we should remove troops from South Korea. If no one campaigned on those issues, then they will obviously not campaign on the plan, because all of our evidence indicates that trade is not important to key electoral voters. Our evidence indicates that people in key districts are moving away from discussing Trump and say that their voters have no idea what he's talking about trade, which means that even if people are willing to sort of campaign on the plan, no one knows what the fuck that they are talking about, which means that there is no way that it would allow the GOP to be able to retain a majority. The second argument I'm going to go for is that they only answer the court stripping argument that we get in the 1AR. They conceded that the GOP will not be able to do anything to healthcare, even if they win in the 2018 midterm election, because our evidence indicates that there's too many legal challenges and they don't have the impetus to be able to do it, which means that the ACA will not be reformed. Lastly, Russia hacks and remains the risk of the DA zero. The evidence that they read in the 2NR is from 2012. 2016 obviously disproves that our evidence indicates results in voter disinformation, which David's turnout, which is the key thing for their uniqueness argument. Our 1AR, our evidence answers paper balance that says that it's far too late. Our Cuthbertson evidence indicates that hacking has already happened, which ensures a GOP win because Putin wants to solidify GOP leadership in the United. Putin wants to solidify GOP leadership. Our evidence indicates that air gapping is insufficient to be able to solve it. It's far too late, which means that any new defective measures are insufficient. The healthcare argument is not new. Our evidence indicates that 54% of the voters view it as the key issue in the midterm election. Premium spikes make it salient. Their 2NR evidence concede that there will be double-digit premium increases in some states. Those states are the key in the states for the election, which means that once the healthcare premium spike, the GOP win becomes inevitable.
Yeah.
So like $1 billion
Yeah.
5-year investment time frame.
Yeah.
Just isolate the internal